more crime from King, only this one is a little different. Here are 19 reasons to read my friend Emily's favourite, Billy Summers. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Dave Musson at Dave Musson on Instagram, and this is the place where I'm taking you through the works of Stephen King in chronological order and giving you 19 reasons to read each and every one of his books. Click around my channel, see what else I've covered, and hey, have a look into some of those specials that I've done as well, including my bottom 10 King books. Well, now let me know yours as well. And if you enjoy those videos, click subscribe and then you'll never miss one in the future. And while we're talking about things you can subscribe to, then how about subscribing to my newsletter, either using that link or the one below. The newsletter, well, you'll get updates from me, you'll get short stories from me, you'll get recommendations of cool indie horror authors to check out, and as a thank you for signing up, you will get my mini collection Mirrored plus 10 Tiny Tales of Terror as an ebook for free, just for signing up for the newsletter. Sound good? Why not give it a try? This time we are still in 2021, and King's second book of that year, Billy Summers, a novel that I've already posted a spoiler-free review of back when this came out, so do go and check that one out if you want to. In this video, I'm going to give you 19 reasons to read this, and I will cluster any spoilers towards the end and give you a warning before they arrive so you can bail if you need to. So, without further ado, let's take aim, squeeze that trigger, and jump in to 19 Reasons to Read Billy Summers. So let's start with the fact that this is King doing crime again. Billy Summers, our main character, is an assassin, and he only takes out bad men. And he's pretty much ready to call it quits. He's had a successful career, but he is offered one last job worth $2 million. So he decides to go for it. So yes, it's crime. And yet it's also a really thoughtful, sentimental reflection on writing and being a writer. Even the chapter illustrations are a mixture of bullets and pens. It's definitely something a little different than what you might expect just from reading the blurb on the back. In fact, it's worth noting just how much more this story is than simply Billy squeezing the trigger and taking the shot. Billy takes that shot on page 150 of the edition I've got. That edition's 432 pages. There's a lot going on here. So our main character, Billy Summers, is an interesting one. He's an Iraqi war veteran who's always been a hotshot, and well, he's always been able to portray himself as a bit simple, a bit dumb. Whereas, actually, he's a very smart guy, a voracious reader, who has managed to cultivate a number of clean, different identities that he can drop into and switch into whenever he needs to, particularly when he wants to make a clean getaway from any of his jobs. He's, like I say, an interesting character, and I think even if you don't warm to him, you'll certainly be intrigued by what's going to happen with him. So the novel starts with Billy being offered this one last job, which he accepts, and he ends up in the town of Red Bluffs. We also quickly learn that Billy's going to have to hang around for a little bit before his target appears, and his cover story is that he is a guy called David Lockridge who is in town to hire an office to write his book. So yeah, his cover story is he's a writer, and Billy's got time to kill while waiting for his target, so he gives the writing a go. And hey, he enjoys himself. That's where the two narratives really start weaving into each other. We also see Billy settling into his fake suburban life, where he revives the lawn outside his rented property, hangs out with the neighbours, and plays an unnecessary amount of Monopoly, which admittedly is some of this book's weaker parts, but it's also interesting to see how Billy is constantly thinking over this new fake life he's established and how it balances out with the actual reason he's there and what his neighbours are going to think when the time comes for him to actually do his job. So pretty soon, Billy starts getting a bit suspicious about how clean a getaway he's going to be able to make. The guy who's booked him to take this job has put a plan out for him, but Billy smells a rat. So he puts his own arrangements in place, creating a fake life within his fake life, complete with a full disguise, wig, fatsuit, moustache, the works. And actually, these are some of the scenes that I really did enjoy a lot. So interestingly, some of the scenes where Billy is checking out his new secret basement level apartment, particularly where he's looking out of his window that looks out onto street level, that simple image is what got King started with this book in the first place. He had this image of looking out of a window that went onto people's feet level, and everything just spawned from there. As is often the way with King, it's a simple start to an impressive novel. Train. Yep, it's the new tractor. Sorry, I feel like I should do that in a more King appropriate way. Train! So this novel is set in 2019. It was originally going to be set in 2020, but King decided to change it because COVID wasn't going anywhere and he needed a world where characters could actually interact with each other. So another part of Billy getting embedded into his fake life is him getting to know his fellow workers at the office block that he has been set up in. So he goes for lunch with all the people from the law startup firm down his corridor, and he observes the workers from the other offices and starts making judgments of them. There's a particularly lazily drawn gay character called Colin White who didn't need to be anywhere near as, well, as Colin as he ends up in the book. But all of those sort of day-to-day scenes are again what King does really well, and they're enjoyable to read. And of course, Billy keeps writing right up until the big day arrives when he switches into assassin mode and gets the job done. And actually, this is the best point to bring in the spoiler warning, so if you need to bail here, then please do, and I will see you again soon. Otherwise, stick around because I've got a few more reasons for you to read Billy Summers. So Billy takes the shot, he nails the kill, and he escapes to his secret hideaway. This is probably the point where you would expect King to maybe try and lock this down a bit, have Billy focus on his writing while all the heat dies down and the people who booked him just give up trying to find him. And that's kind of where it starts. Until one evening, a van screeches to a halt outside Billy's apartment and dumps a girl on the ground outside. She's been raped multiple times and she is left out in the cold and rain to, well, die. Billy thinks about it for a moment and then takes her in. And that changes the second half of this book. So the woman that Billy takes in is Alice Maxwell, and Billy looks after her, and they end up being this bit of an odd but likeable couple who drive us through the second half of the story. We see Billy getting revenge on the guys who attacked Alice, and then we see the two of them driving west to try and work out why the fuck Billy hasn't been paid yet. Now, in case you were wondering, yes, Alice Maxwell is the same name of a character in Cell, but I'm pretty sure in this instance it's similar to how we have two Teddy Duchamps and two Patrick Hochsteters across different books. It's just a repeat of the name. I don't think it's the same character, particularly given what happened to Cell's Alice Maxwell. So Billy and Alice travel to Colorado to another hideout, the country ranch of Bucky Hanson, who is basically Billy's agent and who also has to go underground when Billy goes rogue from the plan and makes his own getaway. Now Bucky's hideout is up in the mountains, it's glorious, and just across the way happens to have a terrific view of the site of an old hotel that burnt down in the 70s. The Overlook. Yep, the Overlook. And in fact, the Overlook hedge animals have a fun little role to play in this story. And they get you thinking just how much of that hotel did actually burn down. So the final quarter of this book is fast, fun, and pretty violent. Billy tracks down what's going on with his money, takes out a few goons along the way, then finds out more information, so travels east to find some sick paedophile and take him out as well, and then tries to travel back west to Bucky and get to some sort of climax of his story. It's a breakneck speed and, like I say, pretty violent, pretty bloody, but pretty fun as well. There are shed loads of Easter eggs in this one. We've got an absolute fuck ton of 19s. We go to Hemmingford Home, we've got the Overlook stuff, and there's even subtle ones like the slight noise of a chainsaw off in the distance that is reminiscent of a similar sound in Gerald's Game. Basically, if you're a constant reader and you're one of those constant readers like me who likes to look out for these little Easter eggs, your Easter egg bell will be ding-ding-a-linging all the way through this. My final reason for reading this is not only that it's a damn good story, which it is, but it's also a fascinating musing and reflection on writing, being a writer, and the power of the written word. I find that the older King gets, the more reflective about his craft he is getting, and it does seep through into his work, and this is perhaps the most explicit of it. And it's a really good chance to dig into King's headspace and really understand what he's thinking about writing this far into his career. Sure, some of it's cheesy, some of it's unnecessary, and yeah, he's written better books than this. But at this point in his career, this is a really good story that keeps you turning through and gives you a bit more insight into what he might be thinking, which I think is pretty impressive. Despite what Emily from the Psychotronica podcast might think, I think there's a lot to enjoy here. So there we go, 19 reasons to read Billy Summers. Do let me know what you think of this one. Let me know whether you're a fan of this like I am, or whether you're not a fan like a certain host of a certain podcast that I've been on recently. Do click around the rest of my channel as well. There's loads more 19 reasons to read and loads of specials as well, including my Ultimate Guide to the Dark Tower. And oh, what's this? This is my mini collection, Mirrored and 10 Tiny Tales of Terror, which you can get for free just for signing up for my newsletter. The link's below. The newsletter itself has more short stories from me and recommendations of terrific indie horror authors for you to go and check out. It's definitely worth doing, and like I say, you get a free book just for signing up. And if you want to come and say hi on Instagram, I'm at Dave Musson, always happy to chat. Next up, when it comes to the 19 reasons to read a King book, we're up to 2022 and the final 2 books on our journey, at least for now.